breaking news, Cristiano Ronaldo has signed for Saudi side Al Nassr.
One of soccer's greatest ever players is coming to America.
Lionel Messi is committing to Inter Miami of Major League Soccer.
If you want to be an elite footballer, then you don't go playing in Middle Eastern leagues at this stage.
This is massive. I can't stress this enough, both as a fan, as a player, and the United States.
The Saudi Pro League have every intention to be a top 5 league in the world over the course of the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years.
The Saudi Arabian League is much better than the league in the United States. Herc, are we giving CR7 a get lost here?
I don't know.
Messi in America, CR7 in Saudi Arabia. The two greatest players of our generation now leading the charge for something bigger than themselves. It's a debate that's taken over the sport. Two leagues from countries that aren't traditional football powerhouses, both desperate to break into the global elite. But not everyone is convinced. Critics call the MLS a retirement league. They dismiss the Saudi competition as nothing more than an oil-fueled sports washing project. So what's really the deal? Which league is better today? And more importantly, which of the two is actually trying to build something sustainable? Because in football, things change fast, and what might seem like a meaningless debate today could very well end up changing the future of the sport in ways no one sees coming. Major League Soccer and the Saudi Pro League are now global talking points, but the paths they took to get here couldn't be more different. The MLS was built from the ground up. It was founded in 1993 as part of the USA's bid to host the 1994 World Cup, but in its early years, it barely felt like a real professional league. Just 10 teams, low attendance, and unprofitable. By the early 2000s, it was even close to collapsing. That was until its first real turning point. David Beckham's arrival to the LA Galaxy in 2007. Suddenly, the MLS wasn't just a local league, it was something bigger, and one by one, global stars started arriving, each new signing chipping away at its amateur reputation. Then, in 2023, it happened. Lionel Messi, arguably the greatest player of all time, chose the MLS over a Saudi mega deal. It was a move that shattered viewership records, sent jersey sales to the roof, and made Inter Miami into an instant global brand. The MLS had spent 30 years trying to prove itself, and Messi made them legit basically overnight. The Saudi Pro League, meanwhile, wasn't built from scratch, but its rise to global prominence is quite a different story. For decades, the SPL was a decent regional league, producing top Saudi talent and occasionally attracting well-known international players. However, outside of the Middle East, it was barely on the footballing radar. That all changed in 2023 when the Saudi Arabian government, through its National Public Investment Fund, launched a full-scale football revolution. In June of that year, the PIF took direct control of Saudi Arabia's 4 biggest clubs, essentially turning them into state-backed super teams. Billions were suddenly poured in, and unlike the MLS, which had built slowly, one signing at a time, Saudi Arabia went straight for the biggest names. Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar, Karim Benzema, Sadio Mane, Riyad Mahrez, and N'Golo Kante, just to name a few. Some were past their peak, others still had plenty to give, but all of them were global icons. Within a single transfer window, the Saudi Pro League went from an unknown competition to one of the highest paying leagues in football history. And it didn't stop there. Saudi clubs targeted elite European coaches, modernized their facilities, and even tried to buy their way into UEFA competitions, all with the clear ambition of making Saudi Arabia a top 5 football league by 2030. But there's a difference between ambition and reality. Both leagues have spent big, both have made major statements, but money alone doesn't make a league great. At the end of the day, football isn't just about signings, sponsorships, or government backing. It's about the fans. Because a football league is only as strong as its supporters. And when it comes to engagement and match day atmosphere, the MLS and the SPL offer vastly different experiences. Over the last 3 decades, the MLS has built a strong domestic following, with an average of 22,000 people per game, which is actually higher than League One or Serie A. Clubs like Atlanta United, LAFC, and Seattle Sounders regularly fill stadiums with passionate supporters. In fact, Atlanta United's Mercedes-Benz Stadium holds the league's attendance records, surpassing 70,000 fans per match. The supporter culture in America has evolved rapidly. Fans have built their own traditions, chants, and ultra-style atmospheres, with clubs like Portland Timbers, LAFC, and St. Louis City boasting decently electric environments. The Saudi Pro League, despite its financial firepower, still struggles with attendance issues. Even with their emerging passion for the sport, stadiums often remain half empty. Poor scheduling, accessibility problems, and a lack of ingrained club loyalty mean that filling stadiums remains a challenge. Not surprisingly, Saudi fans tend to focus their support on European clubs like Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Manchester United. leaving SPL clubs with less organic local followings. Al Hilal and Al Nasser draw the biggest crowds, but many SPL stadiums struggle to create the kind of consistent matchday atmosphere seen in America. Major League Soccer has built passionate fan bases over time. Saudi, on the other hand, is still trying to build its football culture from the top down, using money as a catalyst. And when you have unlimited resources but lack an established fan base, there's one clear way to make people pay attention. Bring in the biggest names in the sport. When it comes to superstar players, the Saudi Pro League is simply on another level. Backed by the previously mentioned state funding through the PIF, Saudi clubs haven't just signed aging legends like Ronaldo, Neymar, or Benzema. They've gone after stars at every stage of their careers. Take Ruben Neves, for example. At 26 years old, and with Barcelona rumored to be after him, he still chose Al Hilal. Or Milinkovic-Savic, a 27-year-old midfield powerhouse linked with Juventus and PSG. Instead, he signed a $20 million a year deal to go play in the Gulf nation. But it doesn't stop there. Sadio Mane, Aymeric Laporte, John Duran, and Malcolm, all players who could still be competing at the highest level in Europe, have chosen the SPL. And it's not just established stars, even younger talents are making the jump. Al Ahly, for example, landed 21-year-old Gabri Veiga, a promising attacking midfielder coming out of Celta. This isn't just a league signing big names, it's a league competing with Europe for elite talent. Meanwhile, the MLS has taken a different approach. The league's biggest signings are mostly players at the very end of their careers. Lionel Messi is still a superstar, but at 37, his MLS move came well after his highest level. Alongside him at Inter Miami, Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba, and Luis Suarez are all also deep into their 30s. Even other marquee MLS signings in the past, like Xherdan Shaqiri or Lorenzo Insigne, joined when their European stock had already faded. But there's a good reason for that. Unlike Saudi Arabia, where clubs can offer virtually unlimited contracts, the MLS operates under strict financial rules. The league enforces salary caps, designated player slots, and spending limits, all designed to keep clubs financially stable and prevent reckless overspending. Saudi, on the other hand, is rewriting the rulebook entirely. And so far, it's working. Because when you spend billions in a single summer, you actually can buy world-class talent overnight. But does that actually make the league better? Big names don't always mean big competition. And if you want to compare leagues, you're gonna need more than just transfer headlines. According to the latest Opta Power rankings from October 2024, the MLS ranks as the 9th strongest league in the world, with an average team rating of 78.2. That puts it well above the Saudi Pro League, which comes in at 33rd, ranking just below leagues like Greece and Switzerland with an average team rating of 73.6. Looking at individual teams, the contrast becomes more clear. Al Hilal ranks 42nd globally, making them the highest ranked non-European team in the world. They sit just behind Athletic Club and Manchester United, which comes to show the potential ceiling for Saudi clubs. However, beyond the SPL's top-tier clubs, the overall quality drops off dramatically. In fact, there's a staggering 1,130 place gap between the highest and lowest ranked Saudi Pro League teams. MLS, on the other hand, has much better league-wide consistency. The best MLS club, Columbus Crew, ranks 81st worldwide, followed by several competitive teams throughout the league. The gap between the highest and lowest ranked MLS teams is only 638 places, less than half of the disparity seen in the Saudi League. Interestingly, Ronaldo's Al Nasser and Messi's Inter Miami sit almost side by side in the rankings at 92nd and 98th respectively, suggesting their individual impact on team performance might be comparable despite playing in leagues of different overall quality. The Opta rankings paint a clear picture. If you compare the best against the best, Saudi Arabia's top teams are better, but if you compare league depth and overall consistency, the MLS is significantly stronger, which actually makes perfect sense, considering their opposite approaches. Saudi's strategy of pouring billions into a handful of state-backed clubs naturally creates elite teams at the top, but leaves a massive quality gap throughout the rest of the league. Meanwhile, the MLS's salary caps and more distributed resources foster greater parity and league-wide competitiveness, sacrificing individual team dominance for the collective strength of the league. These numbers aren't just stats, they are the quantifiable results of two fundamentally different visions for growing the game outside of Europe's traditional strongholds. The real question isn't which league is better today, but rather which model leads to sustainable long-term success. As always, thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you in the next one.